Here I am in the West End of Glasgow, the book club. We're sat outside in September. How bonkers is that? This is Oscar, and this is Joe from Metronomy. How are you guys?
Very good. We're enjoying the Glaswegian summer.
I bet you didn't think you'd be coming to Glasgow and sitting outside and enjoying a beer.
I think we always try and sit outside somewhere and enjoy something.
As long as you can in the year.
Yeah, exactly.
So it becomes impossible.
Yeah.
So, I suppose the first thing to ask you is about the Mercury Prize. Does that change things for a band overnight because of the profile and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I guess since the record came out, a lot of things have changed for us in terms of the coverage that we were getting, the kind of magazine bits or whatever. But then you have this Mercury thing, and suddenly you realise that it's the kind of, I don't know, I guess it tips a lot of people over the edge from being kind of just intrigued to actually being interested enough to go and buy a record or turn up to your shows and stuff. So we've seen it's been very, very obvious, I think, noticeable, the change for us. And this tour's all sold out, which has never happened before.
Okay. So is that as a direct result of the profile?
I'd like.
Or is it all Girls Aloud fans?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. I think there's just been I guess it's a cumulative thing, But I'm sure that the Mercury's has kind of got people's attention in a way that something like that should kind of help you. It should. I get the idea of the awards is that it kind of helps people out, maybe for profile and stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
It's a new lineup for the band. Obviously, you guys are both still doing it, but two relatively new members.
Well, yeah, relatively new. I guess we've been playing this way for about nearly coming up to 3 years.
Yeah. As long as that?
Yeah. In February or something, it'll be 3 years, I believe. So it doesn't feel hugely new at all for us.
I guess we're kind of aware that it's new for a lot of people, but then the thing you realise is that the band is new for a lot of people. So, the four of us now, it feels like it's always been this way. Really, only me and Oscar remember the kind of the dark days.
They were dark days.
No, me and Oscar remember the time that we were properly kind of out in the Nissan Micra, the three of us driving around, So now, when the others joined, it was we were kind of a bit more established and stuff, but now it just feels like it's always been like this, really.
There'd be a lot of people that would maybe be rifling through their record collections and spotting, oh, hang on, there's a bunch of Metronomy mixes on here. Yeah. What's the relationship between sort of your remix stuff and your studio-based stuff to the live setup? And how does that work?
It's kind of. It's weird. A lot of the remixes were done. Most of them were done, over a year ago. I did a whole load. I did about, 20 or something in quite a kind of short space of time. So at that point, they were just I was at the same time trying to write songs with vocals in them, and I'd been working with remix, with vocal tracks and stuff. So I was kind of using them to experiment with how to make songs, basically. And then
they paid for the Nissan Micra.
Oh yeah, and they paid for the Micra that we travelled in. So they were kind of bread and butter or whatever. And now by now it's kind of, I think we're lucky enough to be kind of to be so busy that I'm not kind of, often I can't do any remixes because we're just traveling or kind of things like the the more collaboration stuff, like the Nicola Roberts thing, is kind of much more engaging or interesting than just kind of doing a remix from kind of two very distant places or whatever.
Now, you've obviously no problem with going down the pop. You've no problem. You've no problem going down the pop route and working with Nicola Roberts. What was that like? There's two co-writes on her album.
Yeah,
is it a case of actually writing a song with her, or did she add a word or two?
No. You see, that's the thing. You obviously, with a lot of pop kind of. Well, first of all, everyone who plays in the band is are huge fans of pop music and always have been, and aren't kind of like, we don't have any kind of idea that we're like above anything like that. So like that's something I love doing, and I really want to do more of. But I think there's probably quite often you do get these like songwriting teams or whatever who'll put together a song for an artist, and then they'll just sing on it, and there you go, like it's their track, but it's obviously written by 100 people or something. But when I do it, I kind of want it to be much more. You want to get something out of it for yourself, and so I kind of make a point of not letting the other person kind of get away with doing nothing. But then not that isn't, you have to like force that to happen or anything. And with someone like Nicola, it was just, she already had like a huge amount of ideas for lyrics and stuff like that, and she doesn't play an instrument, and that's kind of, she's not gonna lie, she's not gonna say she does. So obviously I have to do all of that kind of stuff, and then she would just come up with the lyrics and melodies, and then I would kind of chip in with melody ideas, and then occasionally like chip in with a lyric idea. But it was, I mean, like, you know, if you look on the PRS website, you'll find that the royalties are split evenly down the middle between myself and her, and I think that's probably like, there's no better indication of a collaboration than that.
PRS is an amazing thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You can look at all sorts of songs and see actually
who's getting the money.
Yeah. Do they actually split it down in percentages?
Well, yeah, you can see it on the website. Like you can see that with Muse, Matt Bellamy gets something like 80%, and then the other two get 10 or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't lie.
Wow.
PRS does not lie.
It's a little secret, that.
Yeah, we shouldn't have
said that.
Yeah.
Now the new single, there's a sort of Scottish connection, because you got Roxanne.
Yeah.
No, but Roxanne lived in Glasgow
yeah.
for a while, worked in Monorail, the record shop and stuff, from Veronica Falls. How did that come about? Because that's quite far removed from Nicola Roberts.
Yeah, but then that's my most Scottish kind of rock and roll night out I ever had. Was that I'd done this remix of Box Kodaks, which is obviously like Nick McCarthy's band, and I'd come up here and to visit my sister who was at university, and I kind of got in touch with him saying like, oh, maybe we could go out for a drink, and I was very kind of nervous at the time, but anyway, we went out for a drink and it was very nice, and he was like, oh, we're having a party in my house, so like, oh, amazing, I'll come along, and then in the basement of that party, it was the first gig of the Royal We, which was obviously Roxanne's band, and at the time, like, I didn't even meet her at the time, but then she's ended up moving to London and is going out with a really old friend of mine, and I just kind of had written the song, and I knew that I wanted a girl to sing on it, and I just thought, well, she's got that kind of perfect, you can kind of hear where she's from in her voice, and I think that's a very nice kind of characteristic, and she was up for it. The other people I asked weren't up for it.
Oh, did you ask some other people?
No, I'm joking.
This tour's sold out then?
I mean, I think so. I mean, as far as we know, it is.
I can tell you it is, because I went to the door and the two people in front of me were asking for tickets, and they were told, no, it's sold out.
Oh, well, tonight is.
So you can't. Tonight. Oh, right, tonight is sold out.
Yeah. No, but I'm pretty sure the whole thing is like.
That's what our booking agent said triumphantly
to
us. I'd like to believe it's true. I think it is.
But no, it's like we're having this kind of we've seen this happen to so many other bands that we know, and like, you know, we've played with them in different countries, and it sells out, and everyone's like super excited to be there. And I think for it to be happening to us is quite a treat, really. We're just having a very nice time.
It's obviously starting to happen big time for Metronomy in the UK. What about the rest of the world? What about the other Riviera? What about obviously you've got the English Riviera. What about the other Riviera?
I mean, in France we have, because our record label is based in France, so we have a unusually amazing relationship with France. Like, you know, like the last tour we did there was pretty big venues, and they were all sold out as well.
You just sound like we're bragging.
No, I don't want to sound like no, I'm not. No,
but it's true.
You have to understand, if you'd interviewed us any other time, I wouldn't have mentioned selling out because it never happened. But no, I mean, like we have I guess that's what happens. Like with if you have this slightly critical point with a record where it suddenly just like tips you into kind of part of mainstream consciousness or whatever, you just find that when you're traveling around, people are excited that you're there, and so I mean it's kind of, I don't know, we've never had as an enjoyable tour as this, because before it's sometimes been soul destroying. And I think this time it's always just been really like, wow, these places are full. Like, what's going on?
Well, when it came to signing a deal, were there a few offers on the table?
I don't think there were.
No.
So
there was there was so this French record label were kind of were always interested and had kind of like put an offer on the table, and of course you do the thing where you go and try and like talk to major labels, and the major labels are all just like, we need more songs like Heartbreaker, and I was just kind of like, well, you don't really get it, do you? I can't write anymore. And but yeah, so we kind of went with them because they were just there from the beginning, had kind of been into it, and there was no like bidding war. I think it was the opposite of a bidding war.
Is that sense of independence through a label quite important for you as a band, and does that make it a better relationship?
I think if they sign you for the, I think you can basically, if a label will I don't know, you can tell if a label is signing you for the right reasons, because they're offering you like a reasonable amount of money, nothing ridiculous, and they kind of like what you've already given them. And I think probably if you sign a record deal for like any kind of amount of money that makes you go like, then you're probably gonna be messed around a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, they make a huge investment in you in those sort of situations, and therefore you are kind of at their bidding. And I guess maybe if it's not so outrageous, you feel a bit more like you're in control of everything.
It's like if a record label gives you like £500,000 and then you try and write some crazy experimental record, they're kind of within their rights to say like, this isn't what we wanted. You've misunderstood. So it's important. It's definitely important to just be able to do like what you want to do, and I think you just have to be realistic about I don't know what's possible with what label in a way.
Well, here's an analogy. It's like going to the major label and it's like taking out a massive mortgage that you can't really afford, or you maybe go down more of an independent route and you flat share and you have the best time of your life.
I don't know. I don't really enjoy flat sharing. No one does the washing out. Yeah, whatever. There's no toilet paper again. Well, yeah. I mean, I just think it's like, for no one would have ever, if 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was, like no one was really going to offer like us some kind of big bucks record deal, because they were like, the Foals were around, or still are, obviously, like Friendly Fires are around and Klaxons are around, so we were kind of, I think people maybe thought we were going to occupy like a kind of like also ran period, like in that year or whatever. So, but
that's so right, because the majors do that. There's sort of a certain type of band that gets signed for a while and they all fall by the wayside, and the ones that survive are the ones that don't go down the major label route.
Well, yeah, and I guess you do have like, like Foals are doing. But I suppose they're all kind of signed to like independent labels, but they may be represented by majors. But no, yeah, you're right, and I think more than anything, it's just the bands that have maybe struck the more kind of deals which are kind of thinking about where they actually want to be in, like, I don't know, 10 years time or something, which is boring as hell. That's like flat sharing because you're imagining one day you'll have a mortgage kind of thing. That's what you do in the end.